In these fast-paced times full of technology, farming isn't a very popular career choice. Combine that with the rise of the industrial farming complex, and you have fewer and fewer people wanting to maintain the family farm. So we're looking at what the next generation of farmers are doing to keep pace with their competitors in a global society. We start with a father and son duo that's passing down the family trade.
My name is Mike Freeze, and my son Jared and I have JBJ Livestock in Brighton, Missouri.
From the time I was born, I've always been raised around the farm. Like I said, my father and my mother and my brother and sister they all grew up showing sheep together, and that was a big thing they did.
He was basically born into the sheep business, and so even though that he's been around it from an early age, he has a real love for it and really enjoys it and would like to continue in it.
Like I said, I'm studying to get my animal science degree. From there, I actually plan on using it back in the agriculture field. Eventually, my goal is to actually own and operate the farm and do that as a full-time operation.
Well, there's a lot of future in agriculture, not just for my son, but for anyone that really enjoys it. It's interesting, it's calculated that there will be over 9 billion people by 2050, and all those people will have to eat. We'll have to figure out some way to feed them, and that's what agriculture does, is produce food and fiber. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities, and we're going to need the best and brightest out there to figure out how to take advantage of those.
I would definitely say the youth is going to be a big part in the industry. I see that more and more all the time, especially young kids. It's great to see all these young kids coming in every year to the shows. I've got 7 and 8-year-old kids that I've helped start along, and they're doing great now, and they just love the sheep business, and I really think agriculture has a bright future ahead of it.
Oh, I'm very proud of my son. We try not to brag on him too much, and then we can't get along with him. He wants paid more. But no, he's done very, very well, and he's just, it's really neat as a parent to be able to have kids that you can point to their accomplishments, and then also the standing and the respect that he has of people of all ages.
I would always just say for the young farmer that's out there, just explore your options. Look at the big picture, see what opportunities you can bring to the table, and just see the things that make agriculture the great opportunities that it is.
What we're really doing is focusing on it, as far as the next generation of farming, is focusing on the positive aspects on it, with making it fun and making it interesting, giving the opportunity for the young people to communicate and be in touch with and hang out with other people their age, and also share common interests with their parents. So that's really good from the standpoint that it just makes things bridge from one generation to another.
Coming up, we're visiting a microbrewery that sources from local farmers, and later, from crop to cup. This local coffee company is in it for the farmers, so stay tuned. Increased awareness about where our food comes from has caused many restaurants to buy their products and goods locally, and beer is no exception.
Beer is great because beer kind of goes with everything, and everything is good with beer.
Microbreweries are, for the past 30 years, they've been really not just about growing business and making beer for local cities, local communities, and states. It's also it's about growing culture. The trend of the microbrews that have gone on in the past, this is not something that's 18 months old. This is decades now. Microbreweries were stifled considerably, in Prohibition. Before Prohibition, there was thousands of local breweries. In the 70s, there were like 10. For the past really 30 years, the trend, we've had several thousand breweries spring up, and I think it's not just about beer, and it's also about just developing culture of communities, and then also like what our beer culture is going to be for the rest of the world. There's worldwide interest in American beer now. It's important that we use a lot of local ingredients in our beer. We use honey in our Love Honey bock that's locally produced.
We buy a ridiculous amount of, we've single-handedly changed the honey market in Arkansas from what I hear. We always buy local ingredients. We'll do some kind of peach firkin when peaches are in season, and they'll use watermelon and blackberries and really any Arkansas fruit that's in season. Dylan and John and Omar and all these great brewers in here are just clamoring to find the best of what's out there.
The reason why it's important is not just for the sake of using, some local, a local peach or a local cucumber. It tastes about 60 billion times better. So that's why it's important to us, is to have the best tasting product. And you can't, a peach that's traveled, 600 miles is gonna not taste nearly as good as one that was grown a couple miles away from here. What's so special about craft beer is this is a craft. This is not beer that's or a product that's produced with massive machinery and computers. This is a beer that when you look at the process of it, this is a beer that we're dialing in temperatures minute by minute, literally crafting a product day by day, and it just like anything else, it's going to change a little bit from here and there, but trying to keep it consistent, trying to keep a great tasting product. There's a craft to that just in and of itself, just trying to keep it, trying to maintain a delicious product.
Next, this Arkansas coffee company is improving the lives of farmers one cup at a time. Knowing the journey a product makes before it comes to you has become increasingly important to the public, with good reason. A local Arkansas coffee company has built a business around this concept to make sure their product is ethically sourced from crop to cup.
We did not set out to be a coffee company. It kind of happened. Our owners were over in Rwanda. There had been a tragic genocide. 1 million people died in 100 days, and the company was really looking for help and people to come in and help them rebuild. And our owners were there doing work with an orphanage and kind of got involved and said, how can we help? And we're having a cup of coffee one morning and said, this is great, where's this from? And it was grown right in Rwanda. So at the time when the country wanted to rebuild and the people wanted to find ways to make a living out of their coffee, we came in and said, all right, let's try to help in any small way we can. So we started a coffee company right there in Rwanda.
The first stop on our tour is going to be where we keep all of our green coffee.
Right. Now, when you say green, is that like an unroasted, like raw bean?
Exactly.
Okay.
Coffee, when it gets exported, is green and hard and really dense.
And like a beigey white.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you actually don't get that coffee flavor or that smell until after you've roasted the green bean. Well, you can see that currently we're importing at any point in time between 9 and 11 countries.
Okay.
All direct with
I didn't
farmer.
realize that.
Yeah.
So it's not just Rwandan based.
Exactly. We have partnerships all over the world that allow us to offer our customers coffee from Central America, South, East Africa, and even
Really?
Indonesia. The next area that we're going to go to is actually our roasting room, which is where the real magic happens. This is where we take that green
I can
bean
smell it.
and we make it coffee.
Yeah, yeah.
The roasting process is actually really interesting. I like to describe it a lot like popcorn, where you have that popcorn kernel that's hard and dense,
Yep.
and after being heated, it blows up to the popcorn that you eat.
Right.
Same with coffee, and that with the green coffee, it's actually very hard, dense, and full of moisture. The darker you roast that coffee, the more you're going to taste the roast, and less you're actually going to taste the intrinsic taste profile of the coffee.
Oh, the coffee, I see.
Exactly.
Right.
So we really try to invest in the lives of the partners that we work with, the farmers in Rwanda. So rather than just buy coffee from them, which would be a great help, we say, how can we work with you hand in hand, day in, day out, invest in your future? So we do things like agronomy training and teach them how to fertilize, how to soil, how to plant shade so the coffee grows the proper way. We put clean water into their communities so not only the farmers, but their friends and family can use that free water. We set up training programs so that they learn how to save money, and then as a community can decide, do we want to build a school? Do we want to do something else? Do we need to try to do something for the camp families? And so that's how we work together to invest in the future.
After the break, our friends at Westrock show us the proper way to grade and taste a fresh cup of coffee. So stay tuned.
What we're about to do is called cupping coffee.
Oh.
These first cups, what we're going to do is evaluate the dry smell, also known as the fragrance.
I'm liking this.
We are going to add water. So nose close, I'm going to go. When you're cupping, the main thing that you want to do is move that coffee across your palate.
Okay.
So if you think about all the different parts, your tongue mapping,
Yeah, you're right.
you want to make sure you're picking up on the acidity if it's there. Same with the body.
So it's like with wine sampling, wine tasting.
It's very similar to
Yeah,
wine tasting.
right.
So I'm going to take this
Okay.
and I'm going to aspirate it, which again, is I'm trying to move it across my tongue at a high velocity.
Okay. Look at that. Okay.
There you go. You got those RPMs up, and that's really what matters. So the first thing you want to think about is what is the flavor you're getting. So as you put that coffee in your mouth,
Right.
is it floral? Is it fruity? Is it chocolatey? And then after you've swallowed or spit that coffee, what is the aftertaste? And then the other two items that you're going to be evaluating is acidity. So on the back of your tongue, what kind of zing do you get? Is it lemon, lime, orange, blood orange, tangerine?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you really have to kind of rewire your thinking with this sensory experience
To
and
break
think
it
about
down.
it, yeah, and sort of sort it out in your mind. That's very interesting.
And then the last thing that you'll be evaluating is your body. So as you hold that in your mouth, rub your tongue on the roof of your mouth
Okay.
and think about, is it whole, like does it have a full body like whole milk? Or is
Right.
it really thin like water?
Right, or skim milk. Yeah.
The in-between. So that completes our cupping session.
So this is the process that people go through internationally when they're scoring the coffee, and I guess there's a form that they fill out, and then everybody
right.
is kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
So there's a universality to it.
Yes, cupping
Yeah.
allows me to talk with my suppliers and the farmers,
Right.
with any importers, exporters, or
Yeah,
buyers.
right.
And each of those attributes that we talked
Yeah.
about, so the fragrance, the
Sure,
aroma,
sure.
flavor, aftertaste, acidity, and body,
Right.
have a numeric score.
It's just you've really opened my eyes to the art of coffee making. Thank you so much, Tori.
Wonderful. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. And what do you do with this coffee after you don't drink it?
So if it's a really good cup,
Up next, Falling Sky Farm shows us the importance and benefits of farmers' cooperatives. When we think of the local food system, we often think of, well, the benefits to the consumer. But there are also benefits that come along that can be expressed through farmer to farmer. Let me give you an example. Cooperatives are fantastic. By combining resources and assets in a more collective, well, cooperative way. A good example is the Grassroots Farmers Cooperative right here in Arkansas. It's living proof that everything is better when you work together.
My wife and I started Falling Sky Farm in 2006, and we specialize in raising pasture poultry. We do turkeys and chickens on pasture, we do grass-fed beef, and we do pasture-raised pork. In 2013, we created the Grassroots Farmers Cooperative to help knock down barriers for small farmers across the state of Arkansas. And so we're helping farmers get access to capital, to get access to infrastructure for processing, storage, distribution. The co-op does the marketing for the farmers. And the great thing about this model is that at the end of the day, all the farmers own this business, so it is a cooperative. We have farmers that are their first year of farming up to farmers that have been farming for 10 or 12 years. And so we're helping a lot of new farmers get off the ground. We have a very close relationship with our customers. We're definitely a relationship-based organization. Our main customer is going to be a family that is looking for a way to get high-quality meat, and they come to us because they want to know more about where their food comes from. They want to be able to connect to their farmer, go visit their farms. And so like today, we're having a farm day here at Falling Sky Farm, and we have people here who are going to be touring the farm, being able to see how we raise the chickens, how we raise the pigs, how we raise the cattle, and that's an important thing for them and their families.
So it is important to me that my family, including my two small children, know where their meat comes from too, because I mean they're growing up in a world where it's probably going to continue along the same path, this mass farming, and everything is about convenience. And I want them to know that there are choices, and I also want them to make the smart choices. So, you know, the earlier I can start informing them of those things, the better. I think it's important that they know that there are sacrifices involved, the hard work of the farmers, but also the animals' lives. I want them to respect that and to understand that this is not just something that just happens out of nowhere in some far-off land and you get it in the grocery store and it's all packaged up and you don't have to think about it. I want them to have an awareness of what they're doing and what they're eating.
Well, you know, as a farmer, you know, it's my job to do the best I can to take care of the animals and try to keep the animals in an environment they've evolved to live in. And so when you come to visit Falling Sky Farm or any other farmer in Grassroots, you'll see that cattle are always on the move, going to fresh pasture every single day. The chickens are always on the move. Nothing's ever stationary. And so what we're doing is we are finding ways to, through our production models, to create the best environment for our animals that we can, and at the same time increasing the quality of the land by our production model.
Want to learn more? Visit pallensmith.com for delicious recipes, garden tips, blog posts, and our online store. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. I hope you've been inspired to dig in and learn about the local farming efforts going on in your community. Whether you're doing a little homesteading or supporting others that are, it's always a good thing to get closer to the source of your food. Until next time, I'm Alan Smith.